morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. This is Jamie Spiegel. I'm the Director of Purchasing and Procurement Management for Round Rock ISD. Today's session, we're going to be talking about Pcards. And so before we get started, we're going to kind of talk a few things out. First of all, hopefully you were able to go in and do the questionnaire that we had. That we wanted to kind of get an idea of where everybody was and what they knew. And so hopefully y'all were able to complete that, and we'll talk about those, the answers to those questions later once we get finished with this session. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about housekeeping stuff. Why is my keyboard not moving? First of all, again, the questions we're going to address are going to be at the end. And then we are also recording this presentation. We have a number of individuals we realize are not going to be able to watch this, but as we have made known that all of these presentations are being recorded, and that if you weren't able to participate at any point with any of these sessions, you just simply go out to the eLearnPD website and you can get credit for watching one. Plus also, we will make the videos available on our purchasing website within the roundrockisd.org pages, the link there provided on the slide. And again, we also will be sending you out a survey at the end of the session to kind of get your feel on what you thought about today's presentation. The agenda for the day, we're just kind of going through some introductions, and then we'll do the slide presentation. We'll review some of the attachments that are required for this process, and we will ask for you to provide us with any questions you may have throughout the presentation, and that's done through the chats posted with that's next to the video image that you're going to be watching, plus any additional questions that may pop up, plus any closing information. I want to go ahead and introduce everybody that's actually in the room with me. We've got the program administrator, the one that actually does a lot of the processing, which is going to be Brenda Roque. We've also got Donna Colburn, which is our purchasing specialist. She's helping out a lot with the training, and plus also Craig Randall, which is the fixed asset specialist, and he's kind of helping us out with the technology. We'll also kind of be looking at the subject matter that's going to be covered. It's going to be general information about the Pcard program itself. The tax exemption, we'll detail that a little bit about making sure you understand that we are tax exempt. The purchasing requirements that you will have to be following. We won't get in detail. That's actually going to be in the next training session on how to make a district purchase, but that there are some responsibilities you still have to have. There's going to be some new, how to go through a new Pcard request, and then how to get replacement cards, how to deal with lost, stolen, or fraudulent charges, what Pcard limits you may have, acceptable purchases and unacceptable purchases, and the statement processing and Munis sign-off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, the title of this particular presentation is Round Rock ISD Purchasing Card Program, also known as Pcard. First off, in the general information. Where to find the Pcard program information is found on the firm, which is known as the Financial Information Resource Manual. Hopefully all of you are very familiar with the site. There's a lot of information out there on the firm, and we hope that everybody is very familiar with it. But most of the details that we're going to be talking about today can be found on the firm at the link that's provided. Some of the basics from the Pcard program itself. It was developed probably around 2000, year 2000, mainly because it's known to be an efficient, cost-effective method for paying for small dollar, high-volume, repetitive type purchases. And you can probably equate that to like the use of buying office supplies or school supplies. That there's a lot of those purchases that go through that are fairly small, and we do a lot of them. So that's really what the intent of the program is for. It's also designated as an alternative to the traditional purchasing process, which is like creating purchase requisition, purchase orders for the purchase of supplies and materials. And again, with the development of the internet and being able to buy things online, Pcards have actually made that process much more efficient. And a card can be used at any vendor that actually allows for accepts MasterCards as a form of payment. We do have a MasterCard logo for this particular one. The Pcard, one of the things that you probably have noticed, it is yellow. We did that on purpose, besides the fact that it's supposed to kind of resemble a school bus, but it's also so that it helps the cardholder to identify it from their other personal cards. We do realize that times when if you are carrying the card with you that it may be confused with your other cards, and we're just hoping that the yellow card will help to identify that you shouldn't be using it unless you are making a district purchase. The card itself is issued in the name of the employee, and we know these individuals as the cardholder. And this kind of personalizes the card. It also helps for the identification when you are making a purchase on site at the store. And it is distributed through the program administrator in the purchasing office. And again, I would recognize Brenda Rokia as the one that handles all of that. Okay, tax exemption. Round Rock ISD, as most of you know, is tax exempt entity, and we do not pay any sales tax, or should not be paying any sales tax. All purchases are to be made without any taxes being paid by the district, and there is a form that we do make available to everybody to be able to use and utilize with when you are going and visiting at a store, or if you've got a particular company that you're buying online and is asking for a copy of it. It's called the Round Rock ISD Sales Tax Exemption Form, and again, that can be made available through the purchasing office. It's highly advised that you go ahead and get a copy of that from us. And again, the contract, again, contact the purchasing office to request a signed copy of the form. Okay, we're going to get a little bit into the purchasing requirements. First of all, the Pcard is not intended to avoid or bypass the appropriate purchasing or purchasing procedures, payment procedures that are identified by our business processes. And again, these can be found within the firm. Purchases must follow board policy, CH, and the requirements that are identified in the firm. And the program is considered to be a complement to the existing purchasing process and not a way to circumvent or avoid our normal purchasing processes. Okay, cardholder responsibilities. The cardholder is responsible for the security of the card itself and the transactions that are made with it. The cardholder, again, should show discretion when using it in order to protect the Pcard and the card number. We do get a number of fraudulent charges that are actually hit on these cards, and we try to do what we can to make sure that we protect them. And the cardholder, again, should know that failure to follow the program guidelines could result in disciplinary action. All right, new card request. What you'll see on the screen here is a document that we use that is actually called the Purchase Card Request and Cardholder Agreement. This particular document is required to be completed by the supervisor for the person that's going to be one that needs the card. And it also, once the card is received by the purchasing office, the individual then would have to sign it. And again, this must be completed before we'll actually release the card. On this particular screen, you'll actually kind of see a little bit of a flow chart that actually shows how we go through the process. And again, the new card is requested. We do work through the Bank of America, BOA as we call them. That's where we will send the request. The purchase administrator here in the purchasing office will receive the new card. The cardholder will then sign the agreement, and then the cardholder then will receive the new card. Again, this is for new and replacement employees. Replacement basically meaning if someone does leave, then this person is coming in as a new employee, but in that same position. The campus or department administrator is to make the request via email, and the request form can be completed, of course, minus the cardholder signature, because that's not going to happen until the card is actually handed over, and the original is sent to the program administrator for processing. When the new card is issued, Bank of America will send it again to the purchasing office, the program administrator, for us to distribute. And the Pcard will be released to the cardholder again once that agreement is signed. And once it is received, the cardholder is to activate the Pcard through the instructions provided by the program administrator prior to the first purchase. Replacement cards. Each Pcard has an expiration date. Most people are familiar with how credit cards work, and these are no different. It will only go so long, and obviously on the card you will actually see what that expiration date is. Prior to the expiration of the card, we will receive a replacement card that will be sent to the district, and again the program administrator will make arrangements with the cardholder to pick up or to receive that replacement card. And again, to receive that replacement card, again, the cardholder must bring the old card with them so it can be disabled. We will not release the new card until we do have the old one. The replacement card will need to be activated prior to use. Lost, stolen, and fraudulent charges. Prompt action on the cardholder's part will help to limit any liability the district may have for any of those issues related to, again, the card being lost or stolen, or if you end up with fraudulent charges. As stated before, the cardholder is responsible for securing the card as best as possible. The Pcard must be deactivated if any of these situations occur. Lost and stolen Pcards. There is a telephone number here, and you need to be calling Bank of America customer service at this particular number. Again, if you can't remember what the number is, please don't hesitate to contact the purchasing office. And if you do call Bank of America, please make sure that you contact the program administrator as well at the number provided. And again, that's Brenda Roque that you'll end up talking to. And then a new replacement card will be issued. For fraudulent charges, if you become aware of potential fraudulent activity, you need to make sure that you contact Bank of America as soon as possible. That way they can at least identify the fact that if there are fraudulent charges happening, that they can turn the card off so no more can happen. Once you make that first call to Bank of America, again, please immediately call the program administrator at the number provided. And again, a new replacement card will be issued if fraudulent charges have been identified. All right, Pcard Limits. All Pcards have a monthly spending limit based on the assigned position code for that particular cardholder and their job title. These limits are reset at the beginning of the month of the previous month's statements have been signed off. A good example on this is if you have a credit limit for a month of $1,000 and you still have some unsigned any transactions you have not signed off on for the previous month, you can subtract that difference from your monthly amount, and that's all you will be allowed to sign off or to purchase. Again, make sure that you sign off as soon as possible, and we'll actually discuss that a little bit later in the session. But again, just please be aware that just because there is a reset does not necessarily mean that you're going to get your full allotment. Limits will be changed only as allowed by the position code. Again, these requests for credit limits again are going to be based on the position code itself. And these are only approved by the purchasing office. We did a study a number of years ago to identify exactly where these limits need to be set by the type of position that these individuals have. And so we are very strict on making any changes, and you need to have a justification to be able to do so. If you look at the screen here, it says that we have a particular suffix that we look at. If you look at the very end of the code, it'll actually have an E or a Y. If that is the case, then you are eligible for a limit increase based on whatever the reason would be. Exemption basically means that you have the ability to be able to, this is usually like with principals and department heads, there's a particular purchase that needs to be made that's maybe larger than normal, then we do a one-time increase for that particular purchase. If you do have a Y, that means that there's going to be periodic increases. If you want to look at the administrative assistants on the campus level, we have at the beginning of the school year and at the end of the school year, we actually do allow for increases. Now, these have to be requested, but we do allow for periodic increases if you have a Y. Now, if your position code has an N, then we do not allow for any increases. And if there's going to be a situation where you have an N on the end of your position code and there's a purchase that needs to be made, then there's a very good chance that we would have to move that purchase up to the administrator that does have an E as a suffix, and that purchase being made that way. The example we've got there is just an A160EY, is just kind of what the code looks like. And again, the suffix is going to be the indicator on if there's going to be an allowable increase. Again, all the increases are going to be temporary, and the request must be submitted by the immediate supervisor of the cardholder. We will not accept requests for increases by the individual the cardholder themselves. Obviously, we want to make sure that the supervisor is very aware of the request, and so it does have to come from them. The request will be reviewed based on our guidelines, and we do run reports. We check things out just to make sure that the increase is viable. And again, the increases will be effective immediately upon approval, and the limit will again be temporary. And an example would be that once we've made that increase, then at the end of the month it will revert back to its original limit. For permanent increases, such requests can be made. We do have cases where individuals do take on new assignments, that there may be a reorganization of a particular department or area, and we will take in consideration that those increases in responsibility may require an increase in the limit. Again, we will run reports against that particular cardholder or cardholders, whatever the circumstance allows, to see what the spend has been for a period of year, 2 years, whatever the case may be. But we will still, again, do the review before we will actually approve it. And if we do approve it, then the increases will become effective immediately. There is an online form that you will have to have completed. And again, the submission has to come from whoever the supervisor is for that cardholder, and the link is provided on the slide. Acceptable purchases. A number of items have been identified as being acceptable, and there's a whole list of items, and you can see obviously supplies is one of the major things that you can see in there. So there's a long list of things that you have the ability to be able to purchase, and again, this list is provided simply as a guide. Now, what we were more concerned about making sure that you're aware of is what is considered the unacceptable purchases. These are identified items that have been determined that these cannot be used, that purchases cannot be made using a Pcard. These include anything that's related to travel, so you'll see like airline tickets, rental cars, travel reservations, hotel rooms. Those types of purchases are to be made through our travel desk. There are times when we will allow for emergencies to be made, but those do have to be requested first before they can be made. Obviously, things like alcohol beverages, cash advances, the purchase of anything related to computers, deliveries not made to a district location. This one has been one we've had a number of situations where an individual would have something shipped to their home. We understand that sometimes, especially if the district is going to be closed, that to ensure that the package is not left on a doorstep and at one of the campuses or something like that and be stolen, we can allow for certain circumstances to be done with that, but all other purchases have to be made and shipped directly to a district location. Gift cards, again, those are it's almost equal to cash, and again, there are procedures within the firm that actually will identify how to do that. Obviously, personal purchases made by the card are not allowed. Tagged items or capitalized items, any item that has a unit cost over $1,000 is not allowed to be used from a Pcard standpoint. So make sure that you are not attempting to try to do that. And if you have any questions about items that may be questionable as being acceptable or unacceptable, please contact the purchasing office first before you make that purchase. Statement processing and Munis sign-off. Statement processing, again, is a huge process that needs to happen on a weekly basis. Statements must be signed off based on the calendar that's been provided through financial services. And again, there's a link on the website in the slides that actually will show you where to go to find that calendar. Most everyone that's going to either have be a cardholder or a proxy should have on their calendars for Tuesdays as a reminder that was issued by Rosalind De Leon that you need to sign off on your weekly statement. And again, this is a reminder, and it's there on purpose because of the fact that that these do need to be signed off on a weekly basis. Please do not put them off. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to call Rosalind at extension 5619. And again, her email there in just in case you do have any questions about how to deal with the statement. All the statement sign-offs have to be done through Munis. Most of you are probably familiar with that now. Again, there's a link in the firm to the Tyler Munis system that actually will provide you with the documentation that's necessary to do to make the process hopefully a little bit easier for you to go through if you have not done it before. And again, most of you probably have already done it. And again, if you've got any questions, please do not hesitate to call either Rosalind, or you can go ahead and call the purchasing office. We can probably walk you through it as well. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. So we are now kind of looking back to see if there was any questions, and I'm kind of looking at staff just to see if we do have any. Okay, well, it looks like we really don't have any questions. And again, do not hesitate to contact us directly. To see if there's anything that we can assist you with. That's what we're here for. And again, we really hope to be able to help you out. Okay, so now as we promised, we're going to go back in and we're going to show you the results of the questionnaire that we put out there. Okay, question number 1. So as you'll see that, do I need to keep my card locked in a safe? We had about 85% of you got it correct. You don't have to put it in a safe, so safe is not necessarily a wrong answer, but the main thing is just making sure that it's secure at all times. Okay, is there a dollar set limit per purchase? And this is kind of a little bit of a trick question, but no, there is no set limit per purchase. Now you do have your monthly limit, so if you attempt to try to go over your monthly limit, then obviously you can't make the purchase, but you can purchase up to your monthly limit that you have allowed to you, but again, we do not have an individual purchase limit. On checking available balances, obviously you had some choices there. The correct answer was D. Any of the above can assist you. So really just keep track of who these individuals are. They can go into the Bank of America system and actually tell you what your current limits are. What to do if my card is lost or stolen? As stated in the slides, obviously everybody kind of got this one correct. We were hoping no one was going to answer C, do nothing, because that's not what we want you to do. Again, if something happens, first of all, call Bank of America at the number provided, and then immediately after that, call the purchasing office and talk to Brenda. What do I do if I notice a charge on my Pcard that I did not make? Again, everybody kind of understood this one. Contact Bank of America. Make sure that they are aware that you've got fraudulent charges because they may need to shut the card off so that no more can be made. Okay, again, this is a very good one to the fact that everybody answered this one correctly. Can I buy gift cards with my Pcard? And the answer is no, with very few exceptions, and I can tell you that in most cases the answer will be no. Can I get almost all information I need about the Pcard program in the firm? Well done, everybody. You know where to go. And the firm is where you get the information related to the Pcard program. Okay, to ensure that I don't pay any sales tax, since the district is exempt, I should. And again, 100% of y'all said get a copy of the district's tax exemption certificate through the purchasing office. All right, using a Pcard exempts me from being not having to follow the district guidelines, and I'm very glad to see that everybody answered that one correctly. Which items below are considered allowable to purchase with a Pcard? And we kind of went through this, and it's kind of interesting. And again, this was kind of one of those where you could have given multiple answers. And most everybody understood that obviously office supplies you could. Registrations and conferences is fully acceptable. Professional development. Obviously, you can buy books that way. Furniture. Now, this has to be kind of somewhat qualified because remember that anything that's going to be over $1,000 per item is not allowable within the Pcard program. Building supplies, obviously, again, if it's under the $1,000 threshold, then that is possible. And then hotel rooms, that's a no. You are not allowed to. Airline tickets, the same. Everybody was good on knowing that you're not supposed to be buying fixed asset items through your Pcard. And again, personal items obviously are not going to be allowed. All right, so again, everyone, we really appreciate you participating in this little quiz. And so we will be probably doing that again, only because of the fact that we like to kind of see where y'all stand. We did have one question come up. And
some brick and mortar stores need a PIN at point of sale and some don't. Why is that?
So I'm going to go ahead and let Brenda talk real quick. She's the one that kind of knows about pins.
So I'm not sure of the reason for that. I know when the stores transferred over to the chip and pin terminal, if you had a chip card, a pin was required to be able to process the transaction. And I think for the most part, that's what's happening. If there's one or two businesses out there, I really can't say why that is.
And again, it's one of those things where nowadays it depends on who the merchant is on if they're going to require it or not. I think that mainly because of the chip, they're getting away from it at some points. But again, let us know if there's a particular merchant issue that you have related to the PIN. Again, well, we've covered all the questions and we've gone through the questionnaire. And again, we really do appreciate your participation today. Again, this session is being recorded and will be made available if you'd like to go back to it again, or if you have another individual on your campus or department that you believe that needs to go through it as well. And we do hope that you're taking credits going through the eLearn PD system. Because again, we're hoping to be able to award some of you with completion certificates once we get done with all of these courses. The next session that we're going to be doing is going to be 2 weeks from now. We'll be covering how to make a district purchase, and we hope that you join us again for the next session. And we hope you have a good day.